Hello, American Crochet Association. Selena Baca here, founder, host, lead educator with the ACA. And on Mondays, we like to come on over here and mingle. Sometimes I just share something new, different, interesting, tell you guys what's new, hip, and happening at the ACA. And sometimes I get to chat with one of our members. Today is one of those days, and hopefully, if everything works out correctly, then she'll be on the camera with me in just 1 second. Right, again, hopefully all of technology just aligns for us today, and you guys will be able to see Amanda Woodbury, one of our ACA members. Yay, there she is.
Yay!
Hey,
Hey!
happy Monday.
Happy Monday! It worked.
Yay!
Yay!
I know. I love when technology works. It's almost like, wow, I did everything that I usually do, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So, yay.
And I've learned to have my headphones so I make sure it's not echoey.
I know we learn all these lessons the hard way, I should say, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yay. All right. So Amanda Woodbury's here. And for everybody joining live, come on over, say hey, say hello, tell us where you're viewing from. I'm super excited to chat with Amanda today because actually, I always have great conversations with Amanda.
I know, it's so fun.
It's always a good time. I know. It's always a good time. But I'm really excited about the topic she wanted to chat about today, which is finding your crochet thing. So before we get into that, for people, maybe there's new people here who don't know you, Amanda. They don't know who you are. So I was wondering if you just could kind of take a minute and introduce yourself and tell us whatever you'd like about you and your crochet life.
Well, I am Amanda Woodbury, and I love everything crochet. Basically, I took my little hobby and decided to turn it into as much business as I possibly could, which is everything. I'm
right.
dabbling in teaching. I'm dabbling in pattern writing. I have my own Facebook group, just to share the love. And yeah, so pretty much everything.
All the things,
Yes.
all the crochet things.
Yes.
And for anybody wondering how and where to find Amanda, I will post links so that you guys can, I'm sure you guys are just going to fall in love with her and you're going to want to see more. So we will share some links from Amanda so that you guys can keep in touch.
Definitely. I'm excited.
Yeah. Me too. All right. So what were you, and I didn't dump anything on you like, well, here's my ideas,
Right.
I'm really super interested to hear what you think about finding your crochet thing. First of all, what does that mean? Maybe we'll start there.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of go, because this is the first time you and I are having this conversation.
Right.
So it's new for us, but it's also new to everyone here.
Well, the reason I wanted to ask that question is because I see a lot of the time, everybody is always asking, like, I don't know what to make. I don't know what I want to make. And it's so broad. Like, there's so many things to make in crochet. It's like, yeah, we all want to sit down and make all the things. But then as we do that, we might discover that maybe we don't like making something like this. And maybe we do like something. And so I also think that when you're going to get the most out of something you absolutely love and want to put your heart and soul into, like crocheting, you've got to find the one thing that you love to make. You don't want to do things that you don't like. Like, that's no fun. Crochet needs to be fun.
It should be, right?
Yeah.
It should be. So that's so interesting. And I didn't know what direction you were going to go in. So is this advice, you think, or these tips, advice, discussion, do you think it's for people who just enjoy crochet as a hobby? Or do you think that this advice is great for people who maybe want to do more than just have a hobby?
Honestly, when I was typing up the email, I was like, what topic? I don't know. Let's just talk about this. So it's completely random. I don't know what direction this conversation's going. So
okay, really, good. I love it.
So we could talk about whatever. Like, yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. It's just, we can talk about the hobby side. We can talk about the business side, whatever. I don't care.
All right. Well, let's start with, my mind says it's logical to start with hobby and go from there because really that's, maybe you want to turn this into a business. Maybe you don't. It's going to start as a hobby no matter what, as you know, because that's how you started. You started because it was your hobby. It was something that you really enjoyed doing. And then you were like, hey, I can infuse so much more than just this being like an enjoyment for me. I can do so much more with this.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's the thing. When I started learning how to crochet, that was only back in 2014. So it's only been like 7 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And, I did it the way a lot of people do, which is I learned from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It was very stressful, very frustrating to learn that way.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I did, but I don't know. Anyway, so
You persevered.
yes, I did. So frustrating. But so I just kind of started doing like baby headbands because I thought,
Mm-hmm.
well, they all said beginner level, so let's do that. And then I just kind of went on and I just learned that I really like making small, quick projects. Like anything that takes me like days or months or like weeks or months, I'm just like, yeah, I don't have that much attention for that.
I hear you.
So yeah, so I tried doing blankets and stuff, and I'm like, I like making blankets, but I don't love it. So,
Mm.
I just kind of learned, and then I learned the hard way whenever we do get into the business stuff of like, yeah, I don't do blankets.
Yeah. So do you feel like when you were learning, did
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you were finding like there was a thing to be found? Let me just kind of rephrase it that way. Or did you feel like some preconceptions about, I want to crochet because I want to make these things? And then maybe by making those things, that's where you decided, there's some things I just enjoy making more than others.
Well, when I first discovered crocheting, I was completely blinded to it. Like I didn't
Mm.
know what was involved. I knew grandma's made ugly blankets that go on the back of your couch. Like I had no idea there was a whole world of things to make.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that was so frustrating with YouTube is because I tried finding blankets and they just didn't make sense at all.
Mm.
And because I didn't know what the difference between all the stitches were, I didn't know what
Mm.
they were called. And so then I just kind of started looking for, I would just randomly go through videos and be like, oh, it's a flower. Okay, I'll make a flower. And then I was like, okay, I'll make a headband. Okay, I'll make a hat. So I just kind of like let
Mm.
YouTube guide my direction. And then it was through that I also discovered, be like, yeah, I like blankets, but I don't want to spend my whole life making them.
Yeah.
So and then I just kind of discovered that I do love making hats, and I started
Mm-hmm.
doing those little character hats that have like the little
Yes.
faces on them, like those owl hats that were super popular. I did a bunch
My
of them.
gosh. I've made so many owl hats.
Yeah, I actually eventually retired from making owl hats. I was like, I'll make a frog hat, I'll make a panda hat, but I'm not making an owl hat. Yeah, then I did a craft fair and thought, oh, I have to make 100 of these.
Mm.
No
And you
more. I'm
realized
done.
maybe that was not your crochet thing.
Yeah.
Or it was,
It
but not on
was.
that level.
Yeah. Yeah. I just kind of was like, okay,
Wow.
we're going to tone this down. So then and then I
Mm-hmm.
started looking at like how the designs were different and how it's like, oh, if you want to create this look, then this is how you do that. And I just kind of slowly just started going on and on and on. And I just stuck with doing things in the round. And so
Wow.
hats, and then I just started like going in and be like, oh, well, I do like making dishcloths. So I started doing dishcloths, and
Mm-hmm.
then I came across a shawl or a wrap. I can't remember which one
Mm-hmm.
it was, but I made it, and I was like, well, it's big, but it's not as big as a blanket. So, and it's practical. I can use it, and it's big enough to
Mm-hmm.
use as a blanket if I wanted to. And so that was kind
Mm-hmm.
of like my happy medium. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where I was like, oh, I love shawls and wraps, and it doesn't make me look like an old person.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah.
So that was your progression. And again, when you were making things, or the things that you're talking about making, that was very much when you were still learning and figuring
Mm-hmm.
out the art of crochet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the next step for you, and I'm filling in some blanks, let me know if I'm wrong. The next step for you was making things and selling, right?
Yeah. So I kind of stumbled across the whole selling thing accidentally, kind of with my husband's help. So as I was learning, and I totally got obsessed with making hats and these owl hats, right? And everything. So I had like all these hats, different sizes, different designs, just playing around. And I had stacks in my living room. Like I probably had a good 40 hats just stacked in
Mm-hmm.
my living room. And my husband just came home from work one day and he's like, you know what, honey? I love you, but what you doing with this mess? Like, I don't want this anymore. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'll give them away. And then about that same time frame, my mother-in-law was selling things that she does for craft fairs, and she's like, hey, do you want to share a booth and share the fee, and you can sell some of your stuff? I'm kind of thinking my husband put a bug in her ear or something, because I don't know, she randomly contacted me about having
randomly,
right?
no.
I'm kind of like, how did that happen? So
Right.
so then at that time I was very, very shy, and I swore I was an introvert, and I didn't think people would generally like me. I had really low self-esteem at that time. Oh, it was bad. And so then I set up my little table, and I designed everything out, and I made it look cute, and I put little price tags on it. And oh, I was not charging enough. But I didn't care, because I didn't know. $5 a hat.
Yeah.
An owl hat. Like, seriously, what was I thinking? But you don't know what if you knew, and you don't know, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I sold my first hat, and I was just like, oh, people want this? This is amazing. And so then I just kind of came out of my shell, and it just kind of exploded.
Wow.
It just came out of the nowhere. I'm like, okay, now people want this, and they want this, and they want this. And then it just, yeah.
Wow. So as you were kind of going through that, did you still feel like you were finding like the thing that you enjoyed? Did you feel like you were finding it, or did you feel like you were kind of losing it because now you were making things for other people? What were you thinking, and what did that look like for you?
Well, I kind of had this attitude anyway, attitude. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to make what I want to make, and they're either going to buy it or they're not. And if they don't buy it, whatever, I don't care. And so I learned fairly quickly, like within the first year of crocheting, that I like making the hats. I like making the small things. And after having one or two custom orders from craft fairs, that I did not enjoy taking blanket orders. Like, if they want a baby set, I'll do a baby set. It'll be hat and booties. There you go. But, and like, if I do take a blanket, it's like a lovey. Like, it is like a tag along lovey. Like, they're tiny.
Yeah.
Like, if it takes me a week, that's all you get. That's as big as it's going to get. Like, I'm done. I'll just tie it up. I'll fasten it up, and I'm done. You know, so it was kind of tandem. Like, I don't know. Like, I just kind of learned fairly quickly that, okay, I can't do things that take too much of my attention, because then I'll just put it down. And yeah, my whip box is actually overflowing. I probably need to get another tote, or just finish the projects, one of the two. Yeah, so it was kind of tandem. And then I just kind of learned, I just love hats. I love wearing them, making them, selling them, whatever.
All the hat things.
Yep.
I love that you determined that early on. That was a really hard lesson for me specifically. When I learned to crochet, I only learned how to make a few things. And so as I was learning new things, and I accidentally started selling things, because people are like, hey, make me this, make me that. I felt like I was still learning. And so for me, it was like a paid internship almost. Like, wow, I've never made this thing before, and they're paying me to make it, win-win. I get to kind of experiment, and, I get paid to do it. But that was not a good experience for me, because more times than not, I was spending a lot of time researching how to make the thing, and then making it to the specs that this person wanted. And so it was just I feel like it was a great learning experience, but it was a really long, hard road. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I learned that the same way too. It was just like, hey, can you make this? And like, I don't know. Let's see. And then, I definitely didn't charge enough to cover all the time that it took me to learn something, and to figure out what yarn is going to work with it, and the size, and a lot of guessing. And I just don't like doing that as much. Like, I don't know.
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
It depends though, because I do have one lady that, even over the years, she keeps coming back to me every year, and she's like, I need this custom made. And last year she ordered those dragon scale fingerless gloves.
I remember you
And
making those. Yeah.
yes, and they are so fun. I love those. But I had never done the crocodile stitch, and I'd always wanted to. I just never really did. And so it was just like perfect timing. And she just sent me a picture and she's like, hey, can you make this? I'm like, of course I can. You know, let's see. But now, you know, definitely now I was like, okay, it took me this long to research it. You know, here's the cost of the yarn. Here's, you know, here's the whole thing. And she's one of my favorite customers. She never complains. So,
Wow.
and she, you know,
Yeah.
she's just an awesome lady. But yeah,
Good.
she
It's good
keeps
that you
me
had that
learning too.
experience.
Yeah, I've had some
Nice.
that weren't that great either, but you
Mm.
know, we all
There's
do.
always,
I
yeah,
mean,
I know. I know. I hear you.
it's unavoidable sometimes.
It can be. It can be. And I feel like that even if you're hearing, you know, this conversation, even if you just started
Hmm.
crocheting, I feel like it's just a lesson that people learn. Like we
Yeah.
have to learn these things. And some people are just maybe they learn faster than others. It sounds like you learned a lot faster than I did. It took me a
Yeah.
long time to learn.
I swear, like I tell people that I must have yarn in my DNA because I even talking to other crocheters, they're like, how long have you been? You've been crocheting for years. I'm like, does years count as like 7? I'm like, I
Hmm.
don't know. I just pick it up really super easy. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I can absolutely see that. So do you feel like, I know we've been talking about the business side
yeah.
because really it's a huge part of who you are and
Oh
what
yeah.
you currently do with crochet. But I wonder, like, do you feel like, and I kind of want to go back
Yeah.
to the beginning a little bit, like what kind of things did you feel like were your thing? I know you said hats, I know you
Mm-hmm.
said shawls. So those things were your thing, but do you still feel like those are still your things, or do you
Mm-hmm.
feel like it changes, or is it still those things? Tell me a little bit about that.
It always, you know, it hasn't really evolved like skill wise. It has like, you know, from the beginning, I was doing things that were very simple, you know, very simple hats, playing with yarns to do color work kind of things. And now it's just like, I still love making the hats. I just love now. So now I'm just naturally getting into more complex stitch work and more
Hmm.
complex shaping, you know, and just really pushing my skill level. But yeah,
Mm.
when I sit down and just grab my yarn and like, you know, when my husband wants to watch a boring anime, love him, but um, I'll just grab a yarn and it just naturally starts happening. Like I don't even think about it. I'm like, okay, I have no pattern. I just wing it. I'm like, oh look, I'm making a hat and I don't know what it's going to look like or what size it's going to end up as. And it'll just naturally happen. And sometimes, you know, I'll just see a really cool stitch and I'll just play with it a little bit and next thing I know, I'm making a shawl, you know? So it just kind
Mm.
of like, yeah, like even as a hobby, I just love making fun little things.
You know what I love about what you're saying, and I don't think I would have said this before, but I think that when we started this conversation, I had these preconceptions of, you know, your thing is like hats or it's shawls. But what I love about what you're saying is that, yeah, you do have things that you enjoy making, but your crochet thing also seems to be that you just really want to build your skills. You
Mm-hmm.
really want to just build your expertise with, you know, not only a variety of types of fabric that you can make with crochet, but also what you can transform them into, either
Mm-hmm.
by shaping or, hey, maybe this would make a great hat. Maybe this would make a great shawl. So do you
Mm-hmm.
feel like maybe that's where you are now with crochet?
Oh, definitely. For sure. Like that's one thing that I love about this craft is like, there's so much to learn at
Mm-hmm.
so many different levels. And it's like, oh, it's just so crazy because like I almost feel like I will never learn everything, but at the same time, it's like a personal challenge. And it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna learn this. And you know, it's like technically wise, just from like skill assessment that I've taken from the ACA, technically, yeah, I'm advanced level, but I
Mm-hmm.
choose to do things in the intermediate level. That's just my
Mm-hmm.
comfort. So if
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, I could probably make that lace wedding dress. Do I want to? No, not gonna happen. Not
I
even
hear
for
you.
myself. Not
I
gonna do
hear
it.
you. I hear you.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love that that's where this conversation has gone because I think that people were really interested, people who are joining us. Hey, everybody joining. I see your comments. I'll get to them in just a second, so keep them coming. I think people were really interested in hearing from you and hearing what you had to say. And I think that the message that you're giving here is really, it's a good message for anyone. You know, yeah, you do have very specific things that you like making, but really it's about just perfecting the process. And for you, perfecting the process helps you to find whatever your crochet thing is.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Because it's like, that's the thing. It's like, I'm never going to stop. So if there's something that I want to learn that maybe it's not something in my usual repertoire of things that I want, like clothing, you know, it just, I didn't ever think I was going to ever get there to where I could understand a pattern and make a top. And now I'm obsessed with them. So that's kind of where I am kind of right now for things. You know, if I really want to intentionally do something, I will gravitate towards making tops, but it's still kind of a little intimidating. And I never thought I would make ponchos because I was like, oh, those are so 70s. But then I keep seeing designs, you know, even ones that you do. I'm just like, these are so modern and so cute. How could I not?
So glad you like it. No.
I do. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so it's just like, I just love trying out new yarns. And then, oh, we're going to have a conversation about a yarn. That I found. I don't know how much I can say because it may have to do with your testing group. So I don't want to give things.
Maybe we'll chat.
Yeah. But even my husband was like, you ordered that yarn, didn't you? I'm like, yeah, maybe. I did. Maybe. But yeah, so it's just like that's the thing is like, it is ever evolving and ever changing. I know eventually I want to learn how to make socks and I want to learn how to do amigurumi. I have this skill set. I could do it technically wise, but I'm just like, do I really want to? And so I keep looking at it. It's like, okay, so I want to do it as a personal achievement challenge to grow as a crocheter. But I also have a feeling that I've been putting off Amy for so long. And I think it's just because I'm not that interested in it. You know, it's like they're super cute, but when it comes down to it, I'd rather order something from my friend who does it than learn how to do it myself.
Yes.
You know,
I completely agree with you. Agree with you. And I'm so glad that you brought up even the skill assessment. And I'm so glad that that's a resource that's helping people to see that, yeah, there are skill levels in crochet, and what your skill and ability is can easily not only be identified, but it can totally be built upon. And just because you're not making pineapple stitch lace wedding gowns does not mean you're incapable, and does not mean that you are not capable of crocheting at that experienced level. So
yeah. And that's
something out there for everybody too. Yeah. And
that's the other thing is I see a lot of the time is some crocheters in the beginning, they think they have to make all the things, and it, you know, you don't have to. You can make what you want to make and be happy instead of being like, oh, I have to make a blanket because that's what everybody else is doing. And it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's
Absolutely. Interesting. Okay. All right. So back to finding your crochet thing. Do you have any specific tips for people to help them find their crochet thing? Maybe some things that worked really well for you, or some things that help you to find things that you really love making.
How do I answer that? I don't really know if it's more of a tip, but I think you have to really go with your intuition and go with your gut. If something just doesn't, like if you're sitting down and you're crocheting something, regardless if it's hobby or business, it doesn't matter, and you're just like, you know, you don't feel motivated to finish it, then it's probably something with that project. It's not you personally. It's something with that project. Either you don't like the yarn, or you don't like the hook size, or you don't like the actual project itself. And just putting it away, you know, or cannibalizing it. I love that word. You know, and just try something else. Like there's so many things out there to make. If you don't like making tiny baby booties, then don't make them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have to make things you don't want to make. And if you just naturally gravitate towards, you just want to make hats all day and that's what makes you happy. If you want to make dishcloths all day and that makes you happy, then just do that. Because at the end of the day, if you're not happy about something, why continue to do it?
Yeah, that's such good advice. And that wanted me to tell everyone here, because I don't know if we specifically said this. One of your jobs in the crochet world is that you are a mindset coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
that was another reason I was so excited to have this conversation with you. And that's a lot of what we're hearing from Amanda is talking about mindset, what your mindset is, what's
Mm-hmm.
going to, I'm probably not using the right terminology,
It's okay.
you know, what's gonna lift you and what's gonna deflate you. And if
Yeah.
what you are doing, it feels like it's deflating you, then, you know, change what you're doing. Maybe change the yarn you're using, or change the tools you're using, or change the kinds of projects, or, you know, there's something about what you're doing that you can change to make it more enjoyable, to help lift you up.
Yeah, absolutely. Because for me personally, the reason why I tie mindset and crochet together is because it is literally life changing. You change your life one stitch at a time. And with
I love
that,
that.
it's like, it just opens up your mind and you can think through things clearer and it gives you that focus. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I come in with it. It's like, why do something that doesn't make you happy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and your life, your happiness, you can change that on your own. It's not anybody else's responsibility to make you happy. That's on you. And so finding something that's going to bring light and creativity into your life, that's going to help you realize your worth, what you love to do. And when you start utilizing your creativity, it just lights up all the parts of your brain, like all at the same time. You literally use more of your brain. And
Mm-hmm.
so then you kind of start seeing things from a different perspective. And when you
Mm-hmm.
start, it just kind of snowballs. And like I said, when I first picked up that hook, I had like no self-esteem. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was an introvert, you know, but now I'm like, hello world, here I am, you know, I'm so an extrovert.
Yeah.
You know, quarantine killed me. Quarantine was awful.
Oh,
I was like, I
yeah.
need people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so yeah, sitting down with crocheting had definitely made me realize, you know, it's like, oh, I actually am a creative person. And it built up that confidence and it built up that self-esteem. And I just I just want it I just want to share it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. And that is
Thanks.
your crochet
Yeah.
thing, is helping
Yeah.
other people to, and I love the phrasing that you even use, like
Mm-hmm.
unravel their stress, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that, you know, I can imagine that some of these things that you're even saying here today are probably some of the things that you share with your clients
Oh yeah.
to help them to use crochet so that it can be a really enjoyable, uplifting experience for them.
Yeah. I mean, and it comes down to do what makes you happy. And it doesn't take, you know, you don't have to spend all day long crocheting. You could just do it in maybe 10 to 15-minute bursts. You
Yes.
know, it does not take much at all to,
Wow.
and you know, it's what, I can't remember what it was, but it was something about like, it was a joke about fiber being addicting and it just brings you happiness. And it
Yeah.
literally can be, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes it can't, crocheting can be literal addictive. It does, it, it can have an actual chemical thing,
Hmm.
but, and you know, if you can overdo it.
Hmm.
I have had to have boundaries set on me from my husband. He's like, okay, I want to go to bed. Let's put the hook down. It's like, no. Yeah, it's like,
One more
okay.
row.
Yeah, just one. It's never one more row.
No.
Never. Never.
Or it's just a continual loop of one more
Yes.
row.
Yes.
One more. One more.
Yes. For sure.
Wow. Oh my
So,
gosh. All right, Amanda. Well, I see so many
yes.
comments here. So do you mind if we switch over and
Absolutely.
see
Do
what
it.
people are saying? And
Yes.
I can't wait to see what questions you guys have. So let me start from the very first comment. Conversation is from DePolly.
Oh,
Hello. Thank you for
hi.
being here. Ben Sarah is here.
Yay.
I know. Connie Brooks is here from Tennessee. And DePolly's super excited. She
Yay.
also says hello to Amanda. Sarah says hi to Amanda. Amy McKeever's here to say hello. DePauli says this is a wonderful topic. Of course, our very own Linda Woodthorpe is here. She says
I love
hi.
her.
I know. She's a crochet rock star.
Yes.
She really is. That woman does not sleep. I'm convinced. She doesn't.
I don't think so either.
And I say that with love.
Yes.
Melinda McCord is here. Tammy Peters is here.
Yay!
Tammy's another one of my crochet favorites. I have so many crochet favorites. Just so many people in the crochet world that are just so motivating and fun and really help to make it a community. Yeah.
It's like crocheting makes you cool, right?
I mean, it makes me super cool.
Right?
No. Oh my gosh. All right. Lori is here. She loves making baby blankets and prayer shawls. Caitlin Mall is here watching. Chris Lopez is here. Chris Lopez is another one of our community people.
I see her live all the time.
Fantastic. Yeah, she's fantastic. Let's see. Bend Sarah. Amanda, what is your favorite yarn weight to work with? Or your go-to yarn?
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to making hats, I love weight 4. When it comes to shawls, I love weight 3. It's just so, I love the light and the drapiness of it. And like, for me, it's like, if I'm going to wear a hat, it's going to warm my head. Like, so weight 4 is usually, and I used to be really brand specific. Like I would only use things that were made from Red Heart. That was my go-to. And then I just, just through experience with the ACA and stuff, like on all the courses and learning more about yarns, that's when I kind of started discovering other brands. And so for me, it's Lion brand yarns are my favorite. I do like using Karen Simply Soft. I just do also with other people. I know it splits sometimes and that can be annoying, but depending on the project, it's worth it.
That's true. That's true. All right. Okay. Let's see what other questions there are. Lori says, I'm not alone, constantly researching new stitches and types of yarn. I think that's like part of the crochet process though. Like it's difficult to not incorporate that, Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
Stitches and yarns and tools and all that kind of fun stuff.
If you only do one stitch, it can get boring. And then you just naturally learn how to like, oh, I want to make this project. So then you just naturally like, oh, I didn't know that included that type of stitching. And
that's right. That's right. All right. Tammy Peter says, my crochet thing always changes. I'm trying to learn more clothes making skills with cardigans, tops, and ponchos. That's a good point. And I feel like we alluded to that, but we didn't say that specifically. But do you think that your crochet thing kind of like it evolves or it changes? Maybe you have favorites, but
Yeah. Like it also kind of depends on my mood because I love making hats. Don't get me wrong. I will make, but I'm also not going to have that be my only thing. Because that's the thing is like, I see how a hat is working up and I see the fabric and then I'm like, oh, I like how this is drapey. So I wonder what it would be like if I made a tank top out of this. So I will just go and find patterns. I'm going to shamelessly say I look at your patterns first.
Oh,
because I love your patterns. They're just so good. And I'm not just saying it because I'm live with you. I honestly really mean it.
Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So I'll be like, oh, okay, well, we'll give this pattern a try. And if it doesn't work, then I'm like, okay, well, probably the yarn. This probably wasn't a good choice. But yeah, like it just kind of evolves. And I didn't think that I would ever, be a pattern tester for you or anybody. And then it just kind of happened.
You're pretty good.
Thanks. Well, it's your patterns are good. I mean, we'll go back and compliment each other like a tennis game. I know we will. But,
I know, right?
But no, like that was one of the main things when I helped you with the one last year. I think it's the next book coming out. It
is. That's right.
So I was so nervous because I had never made anything in the clothing area. And I was just like, ooh, I don't even know if I can do this.
I think I pushed you a little bit.
You did.
And I think I really not pushed you like, come on, get on the
Right,
bandwagon.
right.
But I was like, you can do it. And
Yeah.
if it's overwhelming, you can just stop anytime. It's totally fine. I remember us actually talking about we can't share too
Right.
much, but there was one thing and it was join as you go. And there were
Yeah.
different shapes.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, I've never done that before. And there were some things that you questioned, but this is a totally side conversation, but what I loved about having you as a tester was that you were like, I've never done this before. And I'm like, perfect, because
Yeah.
someone following this pattern, this is going to be the first time they've ever done this. So you actually brought up some really insightful questions about, wait a minute, now it says this exactly. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, now I see why when you literally do that, it doesn't make sense. So it was really very insightful for me. And hopefully it was a really enjoyable learning experience for you.
For sure.
Because you finished it and I was like,
Yes.
yep, you got it. There it is.
Yeah. It was, no, but then like, it was one, yeah, I don't know how to like have this conversation without, it was one of those things where as a crocheter who's been crocheting for a while, it ended up being an obvious thing. And it, like, even when my husband came home, I was like, so, I've had this problem for like a week and it's been frustrating me. But guess what? It was pretty obvious. I just was not, it was.
But if you've never done it,
exactly.
If you've never done it, then you have like, what are you even going to compare it to?
Exactly.
If you've never done it, I completely understand.
I still don't like join as you go. I still am not a fan of little tiny pieces being sewn. It's just too much. I don't got time. I ain't got time for that.
It's not your thing.
No,
it's not your thing. I get it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, I will if I really want to. And if it's for a pattern test, I will. But yeah, I'm not going to seek out.
Yeah.
Join it. No. That's why I'm like, granny square blankets.
No, thank you.
And ain't going to happen.
I hear you. I love that. And I love that you're being really honest about that, because, I do that too. Actually, recently for me, I've made so many different things, but there's still some things that I've never made. I've never made amigurumi, but I have no desire whatsoever to kind of walk in that realm. And another thing that I saw and I was like, I've never made something like that before. I'd love to try it, is these pocket shawls that everyone sees. They're everywhere. Have you made one?
I'm working on one, but I realized I didn't have enough of the yarn. So I don't even know. I might have to like leave just for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. And that's something that I'm like, well, I've made shawls. I've made things with pockets.
So it's one of those like blanket kind of things. It's taking too long. So I'm here. That's all I got so far.
I like it. Okay.
And I had to learn a new technique. I didn't know anything about wrapped stitches. I didn't know what those were. So it's like a learning process too. I can't wait till it's done, but I need to get more yarn. I didn't know
how fun.
Needed. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, there's tons more comments. So I'm going to go through some of those. Let me see. Tammy says amigurumi is not her thing. She says too hard on my arthritic hands and I just like sewing pieces together. Yeah. And I think that back to what Amanda was saying before, I think that when you try things, when you practice, when you kind of follow your gut, you may be really interested in something and you go, oh my gosh, look at this amigurumi. I want to totally make this. But then when you see what goes into it, maybe you really enjoy that process, or maybe you're like, the sewing and the tension and the one arm is bigger than the other. And like you either really enjoy figuring it out or you go, okay, I'm going to move on to something else.
Yeah, for sure.
Novella saying hello. And
I just got to wave to everybody.
Hi, everybody. And DePauli's got a long comment. So let me read that. She says, I just started crocheting a year back, so I still don't know my thing, but I enjoy making small things, though I want to try making everything. She says, maybe because I am doing everything for the first time could be one of the reasons. Yeah. Actually, DePauli, I did not know that about you. I didn't know that you've only been crocheting for a year, because DePauli's another one that just picked it up, and just the kinds of things that she's making and the kinds of just, she's also been a fantastic pattern tester. The assessments that she can make,
Yeah.
just really, really profound. I'm actually really
I didn't know she was a big
pleasantly surprised. Yeah.
newly. I didn't know she was a
Yeah.
newbie. That's awesome. I love it.
Wow. Yeah, right. And to Polly, I think that you really could crochet anything. Like you're in that club if you wanted to crochet an experience level. Like, and anytime I talk experience level, I have two examples. It's pineapple lace dress,
Right.
or like make a giant octopus amigurumi with like, popcorn suction cups. Like you really could make anything. It's just a matter of, do you want to,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that was very surprising to read that. Let's see. Tammy is replying to Connie. I'm just going to read it. I don't know if it's relevant to us. It may just be a side conversation. She says, Connie Brooks, I've been enjoying it. Challenges you with gauge and consistency of your tension, different seaming techniques, and a bit longer time to completion. So it's an exercise in patience. Oh, okay. And I think that's in reference to amigurumi, or it sounds like it. Yeah. That's going to be my guess.
Or some clothing. You never know. Some things are complicated.
True. That's true. Lori Younger is here. She says, hubby and I compare his one more chapter to my one more row.
Yeah.
I think we all have those things that's really hard to put down or let down.
Yeah. My husband's a gamer. So he's like, I just got to get through this level. It's like, okay, that gives me another hour of crocheting. Oh, darn.
Right?
Yeah. He can game all he wants. That's cool with me.
Right? Oh my gosh. All right. Lori also says, I love to crochet when I'm waiting for the kids to finish their activities or homeschool work when I need to be in the room monitoring, but not teaching unless they need help. Yeah. Crochet is something that it can be super portable depending on what you're making and what you're doing. You really can have it anywhere at any time to kind of fill your time.
Yeah. Little projects like, hats and dishcloths, they give me plenty to do on the road trips because we do a lot of road trips. We do a lot of camping, and it's like I love sitting in nature and just having nothing to do. But I'm also very fidgety, so it's like I can't literally sit and do nothing. I've got to have something in my hand for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So
all right, Sarah's got
time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm a terrible host.
No,
Sarah's got another question for you. Yeah. She says, do you have a favorite color you prefer to work with? And does the color you're working with ever determine your mood or mindset for that particular project?
That's a hard one to answer.
There's a lot of depth in that.
Yeah, I love it. I love deep conversation. So yes and no. So for me personally, I love bright colors. So anything like all the rainbow colors, I love them. So it kind of, like if I'm feeling a little down and I'm like, I don't really have that much energy. And if I literally have nothing scheduled that day, I'll grab a bright color and I'll just start crocheting on it. I would have to say purple and teal are my favorite colors. And so I have a lot of projects that are within those hues. But yeah, like anything like sunset colors, bright colors. I like doing neutral with a really bright color. Yeah, like I love working with black as well. I just try to make sure it's like during the daytime. Natural light is your best friend when it comes to working with dark colors. I've learned that one the hard way. So yeah, it kind of does depend because I don't like feeling like down and lonely and melancholy, and so I'll just do something that brightens up my attitude.
Wow. So you find, just the act of crocheting probably does that, but you find that color as well, maybe, just having that visual cue just helps you as well. Interesting.
Yeah, humans are visual. We pick up, it's like, that's the thing. It's like, when you're feeling sad and a little bit lonely, you tend to think dark. You tend to think, the dark tunnel, right? So what's at the end of a dark tunnel? What's going to make you motivated to, bring yourself out of it is the light at the end of the tunnel. So if you think about it, there's so many wordings and phrases that you don't really think about, but then when you really start like getting deep, I research deep into like theories and psychological things and neuroscience things. And so it's like, oh yeah, like bright things will make you cheery. Like, you
Hmm.
know, when they say when you're feeling a little sad, go outside and get some sunshine.
Yeah.
There's a reason behind that. It's going to give you that
Hmm.
energy, and
Hmm.
energy is going to make you feel happy.
I
Yeah.
love that. Sarah, those were some great questions. I'm so glad you brought those up because I think that that has a lot to do with our enjoyment and finding our thing, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, it
Mm-hmm.
has everything to do with maybe the colors and our, you know, how that affects our mood and whether or not we enjoy making something. And so again, you know, back to those things that Amanda was saying in the beginning, if your gut is telling you, if you're feeling like, you know, it's hard to persist in this or it's hard to kind of finish this, color might be the reason, or you know, the yarn choice, their yarn color could be absolutely be the reason.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All right, let's see if there's any other questions here. Linda's got a very long statement, so let's see
Ooh.
what she had to say. I've got to scroll to even see the whole thing. Linda says, I've been pattern testing amigurumi for the last 4 years. A couple of years ago, I decided I needed to widen my type of projects. So started some clothing, tended to knit jumpers before that. In between pattern tests, I usually go for something different. Bags always
Mm-hmm.
catch my attention. But if I spot a doily, mandala in an issue of Happily Hooked magazine, that will usually be the first thing I will make from an issue. She says, really like to work on a lot of different types of things and variety of yarn thicknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's interesting advice
That's
from
awesome.
someone
Yeah.
who literally crochets all day, every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I'm glad she mentioned tote bags because I love making tote bags too. I have a tendency to forget to use them, so I just have like a
Mm-hmm.
stack of them. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I
I
love
hear
tote
you.
bags.
Yeah, I like them a little bit too, you know,
Yeah, just a
just a
little.
little bit. I've got a great comment here from
Yeah.
Debbie. And I love this. I wanted to touch on this a little bit. She says, feeling so much better. The professionals are learning also. And I had a comment I wanted to make on this, and I'd love to
Yeah.
hear what you have to say too, Amanda. But, you know, even though, yes, I am a professional, this is my
Mm-hmm.
day job. I always see myself, I never see myself as the be all end all expert. I
Yeah.
always see myself as a student. I'm always a student first. I don't know everything. I constantly have to practice things to maintain the expertise that I've learned. And so that's a really important part of my process is
Mm-hmm.
that if I always consider myself a student, I'm always going to have fun. I'm going to continue practicing and I'm always going to learn new things.
Absolutely. I am right there with you. Like, I love learning new things. And if something
Mm-hmm.
looks difficult, I will spend hours trying to figure it out. I've got to, like,
Mm-hmm.
I have those like mini challenges that I do to myself. It's like, okay, so I've, for example, that shawl, I've never even heard of a wrapped stitch before. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this professionally for a few years. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so now where do I go to find this? You know, so I did the research and I'm like, okay, and then I practice on a swatch. It's like, okay, I get the movement now. Okay, now I'm going to apply it to this project. And
Yes.
as a teacher, as a crochet teacher, I love helping that with my students too. It's like, okay, here are like when they hire me as their crochet coach,
Mm-hmm.
they go through the program, they have the 6 lessons that they do, standard lessons, but then I also continue to encourage them. Okay, now let's, I am going to do this workshop. We're going to go over cable stitches. We're going to go over
Mm-hmm.
this. Do you want to do this? Do you want to learn this? And I love bringing fresh new things to the table too. It's like, hey guys, I just learned how to do edgings on baby blankets. How about we do a workshop and let's just learn? And does anybody else have any experience that they could share with us?
Yes.
And so continuously learning, and it keeps your
Mm-hmm.
brain young because we all
Mm-hmm.
don't want to, I don't know. I don't want to, that's my fountain of youth. That's what keeps me young. Is constantly learning new things, constantly learning how to process new things. Okay, I have this situation. What are my different options of going around that to solve that problem?
Yes.
And,
Yes. And to kind of
yeah,
tie this into the theme of the day too,
yeah.
just to kind of share some of my own experience. The first thing I learned how to make was a blanket. And I learned, maybe 3 or 4 different stitch patterns for that one, particular kind of 36 by 36 blanket. And for a really long time, that was the only thing I knew how to make. And that was my thing. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I had a little bit of variety. And then with learning, there were a few doors that opened for me, like finding out about Ravelry, getting a few new crochet books, finding different yarns. That further made me understand that, wow, there is so much more to learn. And it's fun to try new things. And, there were some things that I tried, and we keep talking about things like amigurumi, it's so exciting, but maybe not.
Yeah.
There are some things that, we want to learn, we have to learn. And then either we keep doing it or we don't. But, at least we gave it a try. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Like that, I think you have one of your throw blankets. It's mismatched squares, if that's the name of it. So I started that when you did it as a crochet along like 2 years ago. Guess what's not finished, because it's a blanket and I have to join squares together.
I hear you.
But I wanted to do that one because it starts off as a circle and you make it into a square. How the heck do you do that? Okay, so I want to learn that. I want to learn those techniques. And then the stitching that is incorporated into it. It's really cool. I love that pattern. And I have utilized it where I took one square and I made it, and then I actually just continued a border all the way around and made it into a different style of a baby blanket. And of course it wasn't that big. And, I handed that off to a friend, and I loved that. And it was so pretty. And I was like, okay, eventually someday I'm going to finish that blanket. Maybe by the time I'm a grandma, who knows?
It's there when you're ready.
Yeah. So I have almost all the squares done. After 2 years of this crochet along, I've got like 4 more squares to make. And I'm like, it'll get done.
It's there when you're ready. Yeah. It's there when you're ready. I totally get that. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I think we went through all the questions. I'm just going to give some quick shout outs to people who just said hello, but didn't have any questions, like Rhonda. And let's see, Tammy was a huge contributor here. So was DePauli, Julie Goers, Ben, Sarah, Connie Brooks, Laura Nyberding, of course, our ACA guru. Yay! She's our rock star. We could not do anything at the ACA without her time and support and kindness. Let's see, Debbie and Lori. Let's see, anyone else? Linda Woodthorpe, Terry Sampson. All right, one more shout out, Nignon. All right, I think that's everyone. That's right. She's here too.
I love her. She's become a new crochet friend. So we chat all the time. And she just had a baby. It's so cute.
I know. I love it. I love it that, Amanda, it's so nice that you could come on and have conversations with us and just share your thoughts and your feelings. And this was a great topic. I really was so excited to have this.
Good.
And to our ACA community, guys, it's conversations like this that help the ACA feel like a community. So thank you guys for coming on, saying hey, saying hello, and just, asking questions and just having a good time here. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I love it.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And again, I will share some links so that you can follow Amanda in places where she enjoys crochet. And that way, if you dug Amanda today, you thought she was just the bee's knees, then you can go and find more of her. And on that note, any final words, Amanda?
No, just do what you love. Find your thing. Just go with it. Go with the flow naturally and rock it.
I love it. Excellent advice. I love it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here at the American Crochet Association and in our community. Until next time, peace, love, crochet, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.